All right, welcome back to The Devil in Detail, the Grendel Reread podcast. I'm Eli.
And I'm Ben. This is big episode 35, issue 4 of Behold the Devil. We've been having a great time. It only gets better from here, my friends.
Oh my gosh, yes. What an amazing cover, too. The beautiful colors.
Oh, can you show it again? I'm looking at the omnibus. Wow. I love the trade dress with the vertical title and all that stuff.
You don't see that very often. Matt's attention to that type of stuff, like the I don't know, the Art Deco-ness, the creative, all that is amazing. I love it.
And I think that he kind of takes pride in that every new series, the logo is slightly different. It's a similar like Deco typeface, but it's treated in a different design kind of way. I think he's showing off the paintings from the anthology covers.
Oh, right
without
now.
Without any of the trade dress. They're just stunning.
Beautiful.
Good job.
Yeah, Matt. We like your art. I don't know if you knew that.
Hit me with the intro. Let's do this.
Oh yeah, let's get it. Yeah.
It's like the devil is my best friend. On the rose with the pen to the fork end, or till time end. Like Orion, Jupiter, my kin, bloodline private. We control the whole shit. The wolf won't beef, then we feast off the rip. Behold the devil in detail. Behold the devil in detail.
All right, word. We are back. Grendel, the devil in detail. An amazing look into Behold the Devil. And this one starts off just in the eye, just like in the eye of the storm, if you will. Grendel's got this fork inches, centimeters away from Venus's eyeballs.
What a name. We turned the page for one of these wonderful panel double page spreads, and we've seen Grendel invading someone's home, sitting them down in a chair and sticking the fork in their face until they have to lean back.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably the third time we've seen
he loves this move. He loves it. It's very like mob movie. It's very like Godfather-y. It's like, this is my fork.
Venus is a drug facilitator who thinks his shit don't stink, to quote Hunter's take on him.
Yeah, exactly.
The 300 kilos of heroin that the Korean mob was supposed to give over to Grendel's guys was either destroyed or seized in the Argent fight at the docks.
Right.
And so now Grendel wants it to be replaced by millions of dollars.
Yeah, he's like, either the heroin or the money needs to be delivered or heads are going to roll, literally.
I'm not a criminal mastermind, so I don't know how reasonable or unreasonable a request this would be. That like, but I guess the point is like the operation that we're running is so seat of the pants, and I'm so ruthless that like we need that money to keep things going, and like no indiscretion is tolerated, and all this guy can do is just like kowtow and say yes, yes,
Mr. Grendel. It's like either, and then like if I don't get the money or the heroin, it's going to be either his family or yours. Neither of them are safe. And he's like, but you said like you wouldn't mess with my family. And he's like, dude, I'm Grendel. But then when we turn to the next page, this is where it starts getting a little frightening for Grendel. This is where he can feel the like his dirty breath like on his back. That's the closest he's ever been. He hucks the fork like into nothingness. Like he's really starting to like get a little bit crazy. He's going a little bit crazy.
The dirty breath of the specter that fuels his paranoia.
Yeah.
Right. So like at this point, it's like,
yeah, it's more than
it's pointing towards Uber creature.
Yeah. Some sort of, and like he even said previously, like he never messed with, or maybe it was the next issue that he says that I read a little forward. He's like, I don't mess with specters, ghosts, extraterrestrials. Like I don't have any experience or belief in that type of stuff, but it's like something's going on.
But if there's
here.
A steady paycheck, I'll believe anything you say.
Another good.
Yeah, that's why it goes to Toro. Yeah, very, very cool. So, and then the other thing that we learn about the Korean mob is that they operate outside of New York's five families.
Right.
and that because of their access to the international shipping routes, it's sort of an extra, they get their own kind of special treatment.
Exactly. Yeah.
Cool.
And I mean, so we see another one of these Ditko kind of animations where
Yeah.
he's just like, be this gawker, ghoul, or ghost, I will see its end on the tip of my blades. I will. And then he just is like, on the next page, we see him kind of just like standing with broken glass around him, kind of being like, like, what am I doing? What's happening here? And this is a moment of something, weakness, perturbedment,
The shame of looking like a crazy person,
right.
of
And this is
making a move that he realizes, oh, I didn't,
was not precise, was
Yeah.
not thought about. Like we never see Grendel like this.
Mhm.
We never see Hunter like this. This is the first time we've ever seen him like full of doubt.
Yeah, or impulsive in a way that's not thrill seeking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Or
thought
fearful,
out.
or
Yeah.
afraid.
It's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he's just like, tell Quan there's no alternative. I'll have restitution money or blood. And so he's just like, I'm gonna state my ultimatum, and then I gotta bounce. I gotta be out because this is getting like a little crazy.
And he sits there brooding on the rooftops, beating himself up over it.
Yeah, with his mask flowing in the wind on his fork as a flag, almost as a black flag.
Yeah, posing for his own enjoyment.
Yeah.
Cool. Then we've got another Lucas Ottoman headline page.
Yeah.
And, I think that like I talked about how I wasn't crazy about the ipsum loris kind of like gibberish stuff. But here, I think I'll retract that because it allows your eye to focus on the actual text
and the headlines and stuff.
And the headlines, it doesn't
bog down the page.
Yeah, you don't get lost in the other stuff.
And it's better than just being little scribbles because, it's not a note or it's not really small. It's big. So we need those letters there. But
yeah, when I think about people that do great like facsimile document pages, the artist that comes to my mind besides Frank Miller or Dave Mazzucchelli, who did it a lot in Daredevil, is Brian Talbot. I'll send you ones from Luther Arkwright and from The Nas, which is a book he did with Tom Veitch. And the one from the Nas, it's like you're looking at someone's bulletin board, and it's like you could run your fingers over all the objects and really feel them and read all the articles.
See, that is kind of cool if you're doing like
if that's the point, if that's what you're supposed to look at. Yeah.
Right. There's little clues to like distribute between and stuff like that.
I think what else is really cool here is that all the different like photos of Hunter, like there's a few different treatments based on like how grainy the photo is. So there's this one on the right that's just all Prismacolor, and then
super cool.
And then this one on the lower left, it's almost like Eddie Campbell from Hell style.
Mm-hmm.
Super cool.
Just kind of simple and scribbly a little. Yeah. Really cool. And you can see him there. He's kind of like going through his latest book. What was it called again?
Chanticleer Tears.
Right. So he's going through that, kind of trying to maybe get some like, some clues or get to try to figure out if like there's anything that he drops in here that might be parallel to like Grendel's motives that he sees.
The bottom right is from the style section. My Little Chickadee sets weekend sales record. Well, it was written in a weekend, but I really enjoy like the happiness on Stacy's face. Like she's like, psyched. I'm finally safe. I'm finally like where I belong. For now. Cool. I love this spread of Lucas in the library.
Yeah, he's getting his research on. He's trying to find out more about Hunter Rose, but he's finding that there's a clear line of when there is a Hunter Rose and there isn't a Hunter Rose.
There's no record of anything. Like
anything before his
actual age. Right? And so we talk about his age a lot. Is he 22, 24, 26? Is all the Grendeling starts, he moves to New York when he's 16 or so. He's with Jocasta when he's 14. That lasts a year. A year later, he's back in New York. And so there's like 8 years of him being literati assassin criminal mastermind, sort
Yeah.
of. All right.
Yeah. And so he's trying to come to he's like headcanoning. He's like putting these things like, why would someone who seemingly has it all with like the success of a well-written, a well-published novelist, a best-selling novelist, like why lead a double life? He's like a raving success by any definition. And these mystery aspects add up to a cautious celebrity, not to a secret criminal mastermind.
Right. This is where the limp is, the cane and the limp is.
Oh,
mentioned.
yeah. There's no way he could fake that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's certainly not anything inside of that cane that could possibly flip out.
The symmetry in the bottom tier is super cool with that 4-panel grid, like in the spread, and then, stat, red phone. Very cool.
Yes. Yeah.
Great Zappa.
And I mean, Matt, is a master of the red, white, and black too. He knows just when to like pepper that in, and beautiful. Another amazing page by Matt. And it kind of ends with Lucas being like, the guy's a fucking ghost. Like almost being like, he's a fucking ghost. So like, maybe he is a little more than he seems.
Yeah.
Flash over to a good cop, bad cop interrogation questioning up in the NYPD house.
Yeah, this is Victor Luis Ortega, one of Grendel's guys. But what we learn is that there's a number of layers, like any good criminal organization, that like he has a contact who probably has a contact,
right,
etc.
He's got a guy who's got a guy who knows that we all work for Grendel. And so they're kind of, there really is a good cop, bad cop stuff going down. And he's being super uncooperative, insulting both of them, sexualizing Liz in a way that she doesn't even let affect her. And she just throws it right back at him. She gives as
good as she gets. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Until he kind of like, until the guy starts coughing and then begins to puke blood and he's.
Yeah. And he says he'd rather be raped in prison than to be dead.
Right.
So he's not going to give him anything. Yeah. He vomits blood. This is, we're going to end up talking about Tarantino a lot.
Yeah.
Over the next 3 years.
Yeah.
This is like what, Hateful Eight.
See, I haven't seen that
one. You haven't seen Hateful Eight?
No.
Oh my God. It's so good. It's so good. I can't believe you haven't seen it. Anyway, this is, so he pukes up blood and they can't believe it. How long has he been in custody?
Yeah. He's more than 48 hours. Someone must have got to him this morning.
They must have gotten to him.
He's horrible. like you just see the hand, like very, Tales from the Crypty there.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Oh God. It's disgusting. So the next spread is Larry and Hunter. Hunter is wearing like Art Deco Taekwondo gi.
Oh, I thought it was like his fencing gear.
Oh, you're right. Maybe it is. I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah,
I like his spears. I like his dartboard that's just mounted into his bookshelf because he never misses. So there's no risk. And I also really like this very 80s like ergonomic lamp or whatever it is, where it's like weighted on the two.
Oh yeah,
kind of things. It's like straight out of like Sharper Image or something like that.
Yeah, I wonder if that's something that Matt has like on his desk that he referenced right there or something.
Yeah. So through Roger Venus and through Larry, Kwan, who's the Korean crime lord, has agreed to make an exchange.
I think you're missing over something where he's talking about. Well, it just starts off with him again, like maligning, like how he's like losing it a little bit. He's coming unwound a little bit, so much so that he just had to rip a page out of his journal for a misspelling. Can you believe it? A misspelled word. Rip it out, destroy it, burn it.
All these little screw ups and the paranoia are making him physically ill.
Yeah,
he's had bad oysters, and what does all this tawdry business like is not as important. It's a symptom, not the disease, of me having loose control.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so then again, we see it again. He's got 3 darts in his hand.
Mm-hmm.
He throws all 3. 2 of them hit the bullseye. One is just outside, and that's as good as terrible. It says he missed it all. he's like, I missed. I never miss.
Yeah. Larry, who knows something's wrong, he turns away as if he doesn't notice.
He's just like,
Larry notices everything.
Yes, he does. As he pours himself another stiff drink.
I have another one, Larry. This is a date scene between Liz and Lucas, and I was just thinking about like how difficult it must be to go out in public if they have to be secretive. Like they, you know, everyone knows they're high profile people to NYPD.
Yeah, exactly.
So it must be a pain in the neck to, you know, to
well, a high profile NYPD person and a high profile reporter, you know,
right?
and so
who's always on crime? He's on the crime beat, so everyone knows who he is. So they must be, I don't know, somewhere else.
They're in a dark booth in a
private. There's actually no wide shot, so we have no idea what the. It's very claustrophobic in this.
Yeah.
In this like.
Just them
Italian
two.
Spot or
just
whatever.
them two. Yeah.
So she's explaining, and this really made my skin crawl. They got a dose of ground glass into Luis's breakfast.
Crazy.
And just like thinking about how that worked, like what? Like what?
So that just like cut up all of his insides until he started bleeding internally, uncontrollably, and then he puked up the blood finally and was like, that's the end of me. I'm bleeding internally for hours here.
Well, the timing the fact that we had the opportunity to see it go down in real time during the interrogation,
perfectly timed.
That's just a bonus. You know, it doesn't really matter when it happens. Like it could have happened 5 minutes after he had his breakfast. But for dramatic purposes, it worked out perfectly.
Right there in the interrogation room.
Yeah. Oh man. So Lucas has the hunter lead. Liz, I think, this is a wonderful symmetry. Liz notices everything just like Larry.
Yes.
And Lucas is being very cagey about it, and she knows that he.
Yeah. What aren't you telling me? She's like, I know it.
Oh man.
And she's like, I can tell when you're like not really all here. You're like thinking about something else. And he's like, that's the trouble with dating a detective.
That's what I love about this cycle is that like Hunter's the central figure, and obviously there's other Grendels that come afterwards, but frequently like it's like Phil, oh God, what's the guy's name in Marvels? The man on the street.
Right.
The guy that it's just like it's like in his world and you have to see it through his eyes. Those like side characters who experience this world are frequently like as compelling as the pulpy criminal unbelievable mastermind.
Right. And he has such an effect on all these people, and the way that we're able to really see the breadth of his reign, the breadth of what he can do,
his tentacles,
right, exactly, is through these people that he affects, whether they be Hilly or whether it be these guys or whoever it is,
or people 3,000 years into the future.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Or beyond.
Yeah.
Infinity and beyond.
Yeah. Even like, Four Devils, One Hell, aren't they looking for his skull, and like even Batman Grendel 2 is like, they're looking for the like prime skull or whatever they call it. Something like, so yeah.
Not that, I mean, I don't want to not to spoil the climax of this book, but there's some really interesting stuff that happens that you can sort of headcanonize or theorize, or we'll get there.
Yeah, definitely.
Next page is Grendel on a flagpole waiting for Kwon Hyun-ki, who's the head of the Korean mob. And then like the way that there's an excerpt from Christine from Devil by the Deed, and it reads like Tarantino voiceover when he's introducing, from Kill Bill or whatever it is. And I think I texted you like an hour and a half ago. You were like, oh man, these issues are great. It's like, this would make the best Tarantino movie ever.
It's like he's describing the Crazy 88s or whatever that one scene.
And like Matt gets along with everybody, and like he did a book with Tarantino, and like what, like it's not outside the realm of possibility that we get a Tarantino Grendel movie.
Oh my God.
Let's just put it out in the universe, because it would be fantastic. Everyone would love it. If Tarantino could be like, I'm gonna make Star Trek, yeah. I will. That's a whole other can of worms for you. Forget I said any of that. But like Tarantino Grendel, it's like fish in a barrel, baby.
Oh my God. And even just thinking about like how Matt told us, and he told me in the Cosmic Lion interview, was like he went over to Tarantino's house and they watched movies and they hung out and like chilled. Like Oh, to be a fly
Yeah,
on that wall,
they
man.
obviously got along famously. Matt, come on. You can hawk Tarantino. It's okay.
Oh man. So
Anyway,
yeah.
so he talks about how Quan is like surrounded by the four winds. They're karate masters, martial arts experts, who are his bodyguards, and like it's because of what badasses these guys are that Quan's like, I'll do whatever I want. Like I got the four winds around me. So
a mistake they would eventually regret.
on the next page, we see the rare Grendel device.
Ah, yes, that actually is lower in his staff. It just kind of pops out. He's got a little phone that
It's
he keeps
an
in there.
iPhone
Yeah,
with an antenna.
with an antenna. Yeah,
And
yeah.
his
It's a
little
long
electrical
range.
signal coming out of it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's great.
Perfect.
The rare extra Grendel.
We don't see where it comes from or where it goes back to either.
Well, he must have a utility belt under his tunic.
No. The fork is his utility belt. It's all
fork's
built
the
into
belt?
that. Yeah.
Well, it must expand. I don't know. It
Great.
must. It's in his ring. I know that a rope isn't a device, and this rope isn't connected to the fork, but we do have two tools in two consecutive panels, which is
Right.
unbelievably rare.
Yes. And they had to have come from the fork. I mean, the fork is the magical
everything.
piece.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember seeing like a cutaway in like the official Marvel handbook. There's like a diagram of like Daredevil's Billy Club, and it's like
It's like that.
recording stuff and like ropes, obviously, and
We need to make one about this.
Oh yeah,
man. So then he comes in and he's meeting up with Venus again to I think to see like what the decision was, right?
Well, he was planning on
to
meeting
make the
all
pickup.
6 of them,
Right.
and he's surprised that Venus. I told you, didn't you tell them to stay? I had select words to share with Mr. Quan,
Right.
so he had already rehearsed his spiel.
Right, and that's why he says right here he's like showtime.
Right.
So he's like, I'm on.
His again, like the young Eddie as the theater kid, like spazzing out at like high school actors. That's absolutely. I have a whole Grendel pitch for your ears only. I would never share it with certain people. But for you, Eli, I'll tell you my Grendel pitch, and it starts in the high school theater auditorium.
Well, we get that thing in the David Mack Red, White, and Black story where it's the masks, like when he's trying to do the masks, and it's kind of like the comedy tragedy masks and stuff. And so he comes in
like that, yeah.
Well, that leads to the like theatricality and his like obsession with the theater and with. So then he comes in.
Kabuki theater.
Oh shit! So he's coming in. And he's like, didn't you have select words? And then he's like, as he's coming in though, he's lifting up the window and he's like, that feeling returns. That his Grandy sense is tingling.
Yeah.
And then he's like, something's wrong. Too quiet. Roger's a little too. He's quiet. Yeah, a little too quiet. Yeah. He's like, Roger. Yeah, a little too Roger. And Turtles too. Anyway,
I don't recall it. It's been 25 years.
Ah,
the Zappa on the cases 1, 2, 3, 4 is so good.
Oh yeah. Well, even like from his eyes, case, Grendel's eyes, the case, the movement, the case, the bust, and then it's like click.
Yeah.
It was a setup. And I love the move that he does too, where he jumps out the window, but he puts the fork in there to like catch himself, and then he's like hanging off the side of the building as the fires rage, the explosion kabooms.
Yeah, I actually didn't see that happening in panel 1. I see it very clearly, obviously, in panel 3, but now you can see the flex on the fork,
right,
in the kaboom. This is I read this and I thought about America Ninja Warrior, the
like competition show kind of thing.
The competition show, and there's a cartoonist that I know who lives in my neighborhood, who's like, his son is like a young kid. He's like maybe an early teenager, and like that's what he's into is like ninja training.
Yeah.
And like that's what the kid does. He does these crazy monkey bar, salmon rope pull up things, and all that stuff. So, and then just seeing Grendel doing that is very, very cool. All right, cool.
Yeah, so he's like, alarms are clattering. He's like, a quick scan of the room to see like what's going on. He like doesn't see anything, but then he goes in And like he can't see Roger because he's really just little more than a splatter on the floor now. And then he's like, he doesn't see anything except he sees one or a couple little weird footprints.
Lupine footprints.
Lupine footprints.
That's a cool ending. All right.
Yeah.
Very
Dun,
cool.
Dun, dun.
Oh, what twisted webs we weave. That's
Yes,
the halfway
it's-
point of this great story.
Oh my gosh. And you know, I read a little bit into the future, and we get the return of a red, white, and black character that we enjoyed from a great story. And I'm excited to keep moving with these books, man. There's so much great stuff in here. So cool that Matt is like bringing people back from red, white, and black. He's using the entire world that was set up.
Oh, my favorite character comes back.
Who's that?
Cush, Locutus Bradley.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
The
among other people.
Yeah, he's my absolute favorite. Tora's fine, but Cush is really my
Yeah.
favorite.
Oh man,
Cool.
the Grendel's Lair letters column is great. Diana Schutz is answering some questions, and yeah, man, another great book. Matt, thank you.
Thank you. Well, we'll see you next week,
Yeah.
and we'll double down again.
Yes. Vivat Grendel. Keep on Grendelin. Until next week.